India and Russia space ties are likely to reach a new high as New Delhi will soon acquire a limited number of RD-191 engines from Russia, potentially supercharging its satellite launch capabilities. WION has exclusively learned that the Indian government's Department of Space is facilitating the technology transfer of Russian-origin cryogenic rocket engines to Indian industry. This technology transfer is meant to enable Indian industries to manufacture the Russian origin rocket in India. The latest deal is likely to take shape as Russian President Putin makes a two-day state visit to India starting this evening. The RD-191 is a high-performance rocket engine, liquid propellant rocket engine developed by NPO Energomash in Russia. It falls under the category semi-cryogenic as its fuel kerosene can be stored at room temperature and the oxidizer liquid oxygen has to be stored at supercooled temperatures below 150 degrees centigrade. The design is simplified into a single combustion chamber engine optimized for modern launch needs. Semi-cryogenic engines are among the niche technologies that the Indian Space Agency ISRO has been trying to develop indigenously. However, even as domestic efforts to build an indigenous semi-cryogenic engine are underway, India does not have a fully developed engine of its own yet. The reason why the Russian RD-191 engine is being sought. If this deal goes through, this would mark the second time that India is purchasing space-faring rocket engines from Russia. Back in the early 1990s, India purchased 7 KVD-1 cryogenic engines from Russia. The KVD-1 engines were used in the upper stage of the early versions of India's then heaviest rocket, the GSLV. It will also mark a significant strategic collaboration between the Indian space establishment and the Russian space industry. We earlier spoke to Dr. Brahma Chelani, who is a professor of strategic studies at Center for Policy Research, and this is what he told us.
India has been a major importer of Russian oil, but there are other large importers of Russian energy, including the European Union, China in particular, but also Turkey and Japan. In fact, the European Union has paid Russia more than $300 billion for energy purchases since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So in comparison, the Indian purchases of Russian oil do not equal that figure. If the Ukraine war were to end, certainly the discounts on Russian oil are going to dissipate gradually. So Russian oil will be sold at the international benchmark